Oh, they thought you were simple, until they opened the fucking vault. Hey, you. Yeah, you. The one who's been too damn quiet for too damn long. Funny, isn't it? How they laugh with you until they pull back the curtain and realize they were sitting next to a damn hurricane wrapped in a human skin. They wanted dirt on you. They thought they'd find a few embarrassing stories, maybe some poor choices, a little chaos here and there. The kind of stuff they could use to laugh at you, control you, own you. But oh no. What they found? That shit haunted them. It shook them. It rewired their brains. Because your past, it ain't a soap opera. It's a war zone. And you ain't no victim in the script. You're the last one standing, barely breathing, bloodied, burnt, but never broken. They didn't expect to find the nights you starved just to feed someone else. They didn't see the breakdowns you had in silence 'cause nobody gave a damn. They weren't ready for the times life tried to choke you out. But you smiled and said, try harder. They weren't ready for the abandonment, the betrayal, the decay you crawled through just to keep showing up. They opened your history, thinking they were flipping pages. Instead, they triggered landmines, one after the other. Boom, boom, boom. Pain, loss, neglect, resilience, failure, rebirth. They weren't ready to see how many times you had to kill the old you just to keep breathing. They weren't ready to learn that the reason you're calm is because you've already lived through every flavor of hell and made peace with demons that still fecking whisper your name. They thought they were investigating a mess, but what they found was a masterpiece built out of scars. And here's the kicker, the shit that really shattered them. You never used it as a weapon. You didn't throw your past in anyone's face. You didn't beg for pity. You didn't scream, look what I've been through. Nah, you carried it like it was yours to bear, quietly, with dignity, with fury locked behind your damn teeth. But they opened that box and found a war report. Page after page of near deaths, betrayals, losses, breakdowns, comebacks, and scars that never got time to heal. They found the suicide notes you never wrote, the screams you buried behind fake smiles, the nights you wished someone would just ask if you were okay. But nobody did, and you still kept going. That's what broke them. That's what turned their curiosity into regret. Because suddenly the joke wasn't funny anymore. Suddenly they were face to face with a person who survived shit that would have fucked them up forever. And you didn't just survive, you thrived. You took the darkness and built a throne. You made your pain obey you. And now, they can't look at you the same, because every time they try to talk down to you, they hear the echo of your silent battles screaming back. You scare them now, not because you're violent, but because you endured what they never could, and came out colder, smarter, sharper, and more alive than ever. They wanted your past to embarrass you, but it ended up exposing them, their comfort, their softness, their cowardice. You're a walking reminder that real strength isn't loud, it's quiet, it's born in the dark. It doesn't need applause, it just is. They dug in thinking you were weak, but what they found was a weapon in human form, mismatched, fractured, beautifully broken, but ready to burn the whole damn world if it means protecting your soul. You terrify them, because they can't figure out how you're still standing, because they know, deep down, they wouldn't be. Oh, and the funniest part, they thought you were fragile, delicate, just another feelings first, soft shell they could crack open and dissect like a school experiment. But they didn't know they were digging through a graveyard. one you built with your own hands. One headstone for every version of you that didn't make it. They didn't know how many times you had to kill the parts of yourself that begged for love in the wrong places. They didn't know about the nights you sat alone, eyes bloodshot, fists clenched, wondering why the hell nobody ever showed up. They didn't see the versions of you that got spit on, ghosted, humiliated, and still chose to rise without burning the world down. You never let it show. You walked like you were carrying groceries, not trauma. Smiled like your insides weren't twisted into barbed wire. Nodded politely while fighting demons that didn't even let you sleep. But they wanted a story, didn't they? They wanted your file. They wanted to know what made you tick. And they got it. Raw, unfiltered, unedited chaos. They found out that the reason you never fold under pressure is 'cause pressure built you. They found out your tolerance for bullshit is low 'cause you choked on it for years. They found out that your silence isn't weakness. It's the only way to stop the voices from screaming louder. You don't just carry trauma. You wear it like a second skin, like armor, like a silent fuck you to every person who ever thought they broke you and walked away smirking. They didn't just read your history, they felt it in their bones, because that chute carries weight, and they're not built to carry it. They got shook because they realized the pain you endured would have turned them into ash. But you turned it into fuel. You're not standing here in spite of your past. You're standing because of it. You didn't just survive trauma, you wrangled it. You stared it in the face and said, "Fuck you. You're mine now," and turned it into drive, into focus, into fire. They opened the book expecting drama, but what they read was a blueprint for survival. And it wrecked them, because it exposed every soft part of their safe, sugar-coated little lives, every excuse they made for not trying, every time they played the victim over spilled milk while you were drinking poison with a smile. They envy you, but they'd never admit it. Because how do you tell someone, "I'm terrified of how strong you are"? How do you admit, "I thought you were broken, but I'm the one who wouldn't survive your story"? They don't say it, but it's in their eyes. It's in how they act different around you now. Like they're not sure whether to respect you or stay the fuck out of your way. Because once someone peeks behind your curtain and they see what really made you, they either bow or run. And you don't chase, you don't explain, you don't justify the monster you had to become just to protect the soft parts that no one else ever bothered to save. You keep walking back straight, eyes forward, like you didn't just shake the ground they stand on by simply existing, because you did, and they fucking felt it. And the truth is, they can't stop thinking about it. That shit you went through. It's sitting in their heads, rent-free, replaying like a bad dream they can't wake up from. Because once they got a glimpse of what you've endured, every tiny inconvenience in their life started looking like a joke. They realized their worst day still wouldn't even scratch the surface of your average week. They complain about stress. You've lived entire seasons in chaos. They flinch at confrontation. You fought wars inside your own mind and didn't flinch once. They talk about moving on, while you've had to rebuild yourself from nothing again and again, each time a little colder, a little wiser, a little less willing to let anyone close enough to swing at you again. And it kills them, because you don't beg for recognition, you don't post your pain, you don't scream for validation, you just exist. Raw, grounded, steady, like someone who's seen too much to waste energy pretending. They call it mystery. You call it survival. They see that look in your eyes, that calm, detached stare that says, I've already lost everything once. What else can you possibly take from me? And that unnerves them more than anything, because they realize you're not chasing the same illusions they are. You've already tasted every flavor of loss, and it burned the sweetness out of your mouth. What's left is truth, ugly, heavy, and holy. You stopped needing people to understand you when you realized most of them couldn't even survive knowing you. They'd rather gossip about your story than stand next to you while it's still being written. Because you're living proof that pain doesn't just break people. It creates something terrifyingly unbreakable. You don't scare them because you're dark. You scare them because you're honest. You've seen what it costs to fake it, and you'd rather bleed out in truth than suffocate in comfort. They look at you and see calm. What they don't see is the storm underneath, the one that rebuilt itself every time the world tried to erase it. They see strength. They don't see the nights you screamed into a pillow until your throat went numb. They see peace. They don't see the 1,000 inner battles that forged it. And when they found that part of your story, that deep, ugly, human shut that no one talks about, it shook something in them, because it showed them the price of real growth. It showed them what it actually takes to heal when you've got nothing left but pieces. They realized you didn't bounce back, you dragged yourself back, with bloody knuckles and a cracked spine and no applause in sight. They wanted a reason to laugh at you. Instead, they found a mirror, and that's what really fucked them up. Because once they looked into your history, they couldn't unsee their own cowardice. They couldn't unsee how easy they've had it. They couldn't unsee the gap between surviving and simply existing. And that gap, that's you. That's the space you occupy. The uncomfortable reminder that not everyone breaks the same way, that some people don't just take pain, they metabolize it, turn it into focus, purpose, fire. You've become the evidence that nothing and no one can cage a soul that's already been through the fire and made peace with the burn. And that's when it hits them, that chilling realization that you're not still standing because you got lucky. You're still standing because you stopped waiting to be saved. They dig through your past looking for some clean cinematic redemption arc, some moment where somebody swooped in and fixed you. But there's nothing there. No hero, no rescue scene, just you. Bleeding, swearing, patching yourself up with whatever scraps of hope you could find, and walking right back into the fire like it owed you an apology. They can't compute that kind of self-surgery, because they've never had to rebuild themselves with shaking hands and a cracked mirror. They've never had to look in their own eyes and say, "We're not dying here." Not today. You did, over and over. Every time life buried you, you dug your own way out, nails ripped, lungs full of dust, whispering, "Keep going." You turned suffering into skill. You turned silence into strategy. You turned every heartbreak into a lesson the universe had to pay attention to. That's why you move the way you do now. That's why there's that permanent calm in your walk, that "I've been through worse" smirk when shit goes sideways. You don't panic anymore because panic doesn't change the weather. It just wastes oxygen. You've learned to breathe in chaos like it's air. You've learned that peace isn't found. It's built out of wreckage. They call it emotional distance. You call it boundaries. Because once you've crawled through that kind of darkness, you stop entertaining people who bring shade instead of light. You stop explaining yourself to the ones who only listen to misunderstand. You stopped chasing validation from people who couldn't survive a single chapter of your story. That's why they envy you. You live with a kind of freedom that comes from losing everything that could be taken. You've already been betrayed, abandoned, forgotten. What else can they threaten you with? You've already faced your worst days and didn't die. Everything after that is just extra time, and that unnerves them more than anything, because you've become untouchable in a world that feeds on fear. You're not trying to be the good guy anymore, or the villain, or the victim. You're just real, and real is dangerous. Real makes people uncomfortable. Real forces reflection. They dig into your past to find weakness, but they end up discovering something else. A map. Every scar, every failure, every heartbreak. A coordinate leading to the version of you standing here now, unshaken, unbothered, unstoppable. They see how every broken piece found its place, how every wound turned into a window for light to crawl through. They see how your pain didn't end you. It introduced you, and it rattles them, because deep down, they know they could never do what you did. They could never look into that abyss, hear it whisper their name, and whisper right back, "You don't scare me anymore." You've been remade in that darkness, not purified, not healed, just honest, stripped down to the bone, raw and awake. Every ounce of pretense burned away, every fake smile dissolved, every illusion torn to shreds. And they can't unsee it, they can't unfeel it, they can't pretend anymore that they're built the same. Because once someone's witnessed the kind of pain that doesn't have language, the kind that rewrites your DNA, they don't play by normal rules anymore. They become something else entirely. Something that doesn't flinch, doesn't beg, doesn't break. You. That's what they found. And that's why that shit hit harder than they ever expected. They keep trying to convince themselves you're just different. Like that somehow explains it. Like you're wired wrong. Like something in you snapped instead of evolved. But what really happened was, life forced you to grow teeth. You didn't wake up ruthless. You woke up tired of being prey. You learned that kindness without boundaries turns into a weapon against yourself, and you put the blade down. They think you stopped caring. Nah, you just stopped caring about things that were never real. The fake apologies, the backhanded love, the people who only check on you when they need to feel like a good person. You stopped chasing ghosts in people who already showed you their graves. And that kind of clarity, it terrifies the ones still living on lies. They start whispering, calling you cold, detached, heartless. And maybe you are a little. Because when you've watched everything burn, warmth starts to feel suspicious. You measure people by their silences now, not their words. You see through the performative empathy, the recycled "I care about you" scripts. You can smell manipulation before it even finishes forming in their throat. They call that paranoia. You call it pattern recognition. You've learned to love differently, quietly, without promises, without the need to be understood. You don't romanticize chaos anymore. You study it. You use it. You move through rooms like a ghost in daylight. People feel you before they see you. And when they do, it's too late. Because you've already read them, already decided what they get access to. You've turned survival into an art form. Every scar is a stroke, every betrayal, a new color. The canvas isn't pretty. It's true, and truth doesn't need to be pretty. It just needs to exist. They envy that, even as they resent it. Because deep down, they wish they could live without needing constant approval, without checking who's watching, without crafting every move around what keeps them accepted. They wish they could stand in their own skin the way you do. Unflinching, scarred, real. But they can't. They're addicted to pretending. They need masks to breathe. You burned yours years ago, and they don't know how to talk to someone who doesn't play the game anymore. They try to bait you with drama, and you just blink. They throw shade, and you don't even look up. They expect the old you, the reactive, emotional one. But that version's gone, buried. And the new you doesn't respond to noise. It only answers to peace. They dig deeper, hoping to find something that still hurts. They keep scratching at old wounds, desperate to see you bleed again. But there's nothing left to bleed. You've outgrown pain as currency. You've outgrown guilt as motivation. You've outgrown the need to prove that you're human to people who treated you like a rumor. You became everything they swore you wouldn't. Not because you wanted revenge, but because you wanted freedom. Freedom from their opinions, their timelines, their definitions of healing, their need to label your strength as arrogance. You just wanted to breathe without asking permission. And that right there, that's what they can't handle. Because they can handle your pain. They can handle your struggle. But your peace, that's the part that breaks them. Because peace means they no longer have power. Peace means you've already won the war they didn't even know they started. They can't wrap their heads around how calm you are. That eerie calm that comes after the storm, when everything's burnt to ash, and you're still standing there breathing slow, like you already knew it would end this way. They look at you like you're numb, but it's not numbness. It's acceptance. You've finally made peace with the chaos, made peace with the fact that nothing's promised, that people leave, that love fades, that trust shatters. And somehow, instead of letting it destroy you, you let it educate you. You stopped asking why. You stopped replaying the moments that didn't make sense. You realized some shit just breaks because it's supposed to. Some people come into your life just to hand you the tools to build your next version and then disappear. And instead of crying about it, you started building. You built patience. You built control. You built silence. That weapon you keep holstered behind your smile. And the wild part? You don't even need to defend yourself anymore. Because your energy does it for you. They feel it before you speak. It's that quiet authority that comes from knowing your worth doesn't depend on who recognizes it. It's that slow, steady aura that says, I've already been judged by people I used to die for. Your opinion can't touch me. You've seen too much to still crave the spotlight. You know real power doesn't announce itself. It just moves. And that's what gets under their skin. They expect fireworks, and you give them silence. They expect explanations, and you give them eye contact. They expect an argument, and you give them indifference. And that drives them insane. Because they can't fight what doesn't flinch. They can't control what doesn't care. They can't shame someone who's already made peace with their past. They keep replaying your story, trying to find the weak spot, trying to figure out how the hell you turned every loss into leverage. But what they don't realize is, that's the secret. You stopped fighting the pain and started learning from it. You stopped trying to win and started trying to understand. And that changed everything. You became fluent in heartbreak. You learned the language of silence. You understood that not everyone deserves access to your peace, and not every story needs a happy ending. Some just need to end. And that kind of clarity, it's lethal. Because once you stop needing people to understand you, you start moving in ways they can't predict. That's why they're obsessed. That's why they can't stop circling your name in rooms you've never entered. Because deep down, they know they messed with the wrong one. They thought they were digging up dirt, but they unearthed fire. They found out you're not here to prove anything anymore. You're here to exist differently, on your terms, with your rules, in your peace. And every time they hear your name, every time they see your face, every time they remember what they found when they looked too deep, it stings. Because it reminds them that some people go through hell and come back, quiet, powerful, and untouchable. And you're living proof of that. Hello again, to the ones who never folded, the ones who stood 10 toes down when everyone else was switching sides like snakes shedding skin. Yeah, this one's for you. You kept it solid. They kept it sneaky, and now karma's got a bullet with their name carved into the shell. That's the story, isn't it? You came in with loyalty stitched into your soul. You loved with raw hands, gave without a receipt, held people down like your spine was made of steel. But they smiled with venom behind their teeth. See, there's a certain kind of pain that comes from being real in a world where everyone's rehearsing. You bled honesty. They bled schemes. You didn't ask for perfection. You just asked for real. But even that was too much for their counterfeit hearts. You kept your promises like scripture. They broke theirs like glass. You showed up when it rained. They disappeared when it poured. And when the storm hit you, they watched from cover, dry, silent, almost hoping you'd drown, but you didn't. You kept walking, eyes low, mind sharp. You kept it quiet, didn't you? Because deep down, you knew. Karma doesn't need a witness, it just needs a timeline. They laughed at your pain, mocked your silence, spread lies like perfume, trying to mask the stench of their guilt. They painted you as the villain in a story you built from your own blood. But the streets don't forget. The universe don't play favorites. And karma? Oh, karma's got aim like a sniper in the dark. Tick, tock. Time's up. That fake smile they wore, it's starting to crack. Those friends they picked over you, turning into leeches. That better option they chased, already showing their fangs, the love they threw away. They're crawling back to empty beds and colder hearts. You see it now, don't you? The same ones who said you'd never make it without them are watching you glow in silence, watching your name get mentioned in rooms they'll never enter, watching you smile with scars they hoped would bury you. But you're still here, stronger, harder, colder, not bitter, just aware, not angry, just done. And let's get one thing clear. This ain't revenge. This ain't spite. This is justice. Because you played it right while they played you dirty. You moved with heart while they moved with shade. And now it's time to collect. Not with violence, not with noise, with glow, with growth, with distance. Nothing kills a snake faster than starving it of your energy. Nothing breaks a liar faster than their own reflection. Let them sit in the hell they dug. Let them drown in the silence you used to fill with love. Let them pray to ghosts they created with their own betrayal. You kept it solid. That means something. That means everything in a world where loyalty is a dying breed. They chose sneaky. They chose easy. They chose fake. But karma? She don't miss. Every fake friend, every backstabber, every smiling devil in your circle, one by one. They're getting touched. That bullet, it's not metal. It's consequences, broken relationships, lonely nights, shattered reputations, doors that used to open, now locked from the inside, Opportunities that vanish the second your name leaves the room. And you're the ghost they can't shake. The name that keeps echoing. The lesson they never learned. Until it was too late. So walk tall, head high, keep shining. Because nothing's louder than silence after betrayal. Nothing's heavier than the weight of a real one they lost. And you're not just a survivor. You're a problem now. A reminder. A warning. You're the proof that loyalty doesn't make you weak. It makes you dangerous when you finally turn your back. So let them choke on their own shade. Let them taste the bitterness they served. Because you kept it solid, and that makes you untouchable. Karma's locked in, the shot's already fired, and trust me, the bullet always finds its target. You want more? Oh, I figured. You're not done watching the fire spread. You're not done hearing the screams behind their fake smiles. You're not done feeling what it means to be forgotten. Then feared. So let's finish what they started. Let's talk about what happens after karma pulls the trigger. You kept it solid. They kept it sneaky. Now karma's done loading. And the bullet, it didn't just hit. It ripped through everything they tried to build after they buried you. That fake relationship they ran to. It's a battlefield now. Screaming matches, lies on lies. A bed full of cold silence and phones they hide under pillows. That crew they left you for. Split. Snakes turned on each other. Backstabs for breakfast. Fake laughs echoing in empty rooms. That new image they tried to wear. Shattered. Their mask is slipping, and people are finally seeing the rot behind the charm. You see, karma doesn't just punish, it exposes. And right now, every little secret they whispered behind your back is crawling up their throat in public. They're paranoid now, looking over their shoulder like they owe someone something. They do. They owe you. They owe the truth. And they owe the pain they tried to dodge. You gave them gold. They spit in your face and ran to rust. Now they're coughing up blood from the poison they drank on purpose. They chose that. They chose destruction. They looked at someone solid and said, "Nah, I'd rather roll with the snakes." So now the snakes are biting back. And they got no one left to call. No one real. No one loyal. Just ghosts, and shadows, and mirrors that won't shut up. Meanwhile, you're the storm they thought they escaped, the glow-up they never saw coming. You walk in silence, but your energy screams. You're untouchable, unreachable, unbothered. Because once you survive betrayal from the ones you'd die for, there's nothing left that can break you. Let that sink in. You were too real for that room, too pure for their poison, too divine for their demons. And they knew it. That's why they tried to dim you. That's why they mocked your loyalty, because it threatened their fakery. But now the roles reversed. Now they're the ones hiding their tears. They're the ones explaining their sins. They're the ones hearing your name in places they thought you'd never reach. And let's be real. This ain't just revenge. This is resurrection. You didn't just bounce back. You rebuilt in silence. You turned your scars into a throne. You took every lie, every knife, every silent cry, and turned it into fuel. Now look at you. You don't speak much. Because you don't need to. Your success screams. Your presence haunts, and your glow. It burns their eyes every time they scroll. They say, "I miss you." They say, "You changed." They say, "Can we talk?" Nah, you changed, all right. You got colder, sharper, smarter, because when you keep it solid in a world full of frauds, you don't just survive, you outlive. And the best part, you didn't have to raise your voice. Didn't have to clap back. Didn't have to expose anybody. Karma did the talking for you. Louder than any words. Faster than any rumor. deeper than any cut, and now the bullet's lodged right where it belongs. Not in their body, but in their life. Slow, constant, undeniable. Everything they touch turns to dust. Every move they make backfires. Because they messed with a blessing, they toyed with loyalty. They danced with darkness and thought it wouldn't stain, but karma saw it all. And now, it's payback season. They thought it was over. They thought if they ghosted you, if they laughed loud enough, lied deep enough, moved fast enough, they could outrun what they did to you. But here's what the cowards never learn. You can't outrun karma. You can't outlie the universe. You can't fake peace when your soul is rotting under the weight of your own betrayal. Now they're living inside a slow-motion car crash they caused with their own hands. Every dream they touch cracks. Every relationship they build collapses. Every smile they wear. It's glued on top of fear. Fear of being exposed. Fear of being alone. Fear of you walking into the same room and stealing every ounce of oxygen out of it with just your silence. Because deep down, they know. They know they betrayed the one person who would have gone to war for them. They know they let go of someone real for someone cheap, easy, temporary, and venomous. They know they crossed royalty for a jester in a stolen crown. Let me paint it for you. They're lying next to someone every night and it still feels empty. They're surrounded by friends who turn on them faster than they turned on you. They scroll through your glow-up in the dark, face lit up by a screen, stomach twisting with envy and shame. They can't sleep because the pillow remembers, the silence remembers, the mirror remembers. And every time they close their eyes, it's your face that flashes, not because they love you, because they fear what they did to you is now hunting them, and it is. You see, when you're chosen, when you're sent, when you're solid in a world full of shadows, the betrayal doesn't break you, it activates you. What they thought would bury you, it was fertilizer. What they thought would destroy your name, it became a legend. Now you're the one walking in full power. No weakness left, no hesitation, no more explaining your worth to people too blind to see it when it was offered on a silver plate. And don't get it twisted. They regret it. But regret isn't the worst part. The worst part is that you don't care anymore. You don't miss them. You don't check on them. You don't even hate them. You've evolved past it, and for a traitor, indifference is the deepest cut. See, they were prepared for your anger. They were ready for your breakdown. What they weren't ready for was your glow-up without them. They weren't ready to watch you thrive, to watch you win, to watch you stand up from the grave they tried to dig. Smiling. Now let's get real dark. There's people in their life right now whispering, "You let that one go? You betrayed them. Yo, you lost the realest one you ever had." They hear it. And every time they do, it eats them alive. Because it's not just karma killing them. It's reputation decay. They're not just losing. They're being remembered as the one who fumbled gold for garbage forever. And you're becoming untouchable. Spiritual armor, mental steel, emotional silence. People don't just see you. They feel you walk in the room now. Because pain sculpted you, betrayal sharpened you, loyalty tested you, and survival crowned you. So while they crumble behind closed doors, you rise like something divine. They kept it sneaky, you kept it solid. Now the bullet hit. But it wasn't loud, it was slow, it was internal, it was surgical. A quiet dismantling of the mask they thought would protect them. a whisper of justice carried by the wind they used to breathe in comfort. Now every breath costs them more. You want to go deeper? You really want to see what happens after karma fires the shot and the smoke clears? All right then, let's take this to God mode. Let's talk about what it looks like when someone betrays a divine soul and ends up begging the universe to rewind time that will never listen again. See, when you're chosen and they play you, they're not just losing you. They're losing every door your energy would have opened, every prayer you whispered on their behalf, every bit of protection your spirit was placing around their storm. They weren't dating you. They weren't friends with you. They were in the presence of a walking miracle, and they spat on it. Now the blessings are gone, and the curse is crawling in. Let's talk about what that curse looks like, shall we? It starts off slow, a few bad breaks, a few missed calls, anxiety that won't shut up. Then, money starts slipping, relationships start failing, friends turn flaky, people start saying things like, "You're not the same. Something's off about you. Why are you always so angry?" That's not a coincidence. That's spiritual decay. Because when you betray someone who was sent to heal you, protect you, love you beyond logic, you don't just lose them. You lose the version of yourself that only existed because they were in your life. Now they're trapped in a cycle of trying to recreate what they lost, with people who don't have a drop of your spirit. They go on dates with dead eyes. They fake laugh with hollow souls. They look for you in everyone else. And guess what? They'll never find you. Because you're not replaceable. You're not a trend. You're not the one that got away. You're the one that never comes back once you're crossed. And the universe? Oh, it has receipts. Every lie they told, every rumor they spread, every time they laughed behind your back while you cried into your pillow. It's all been tallied, and now the invoice is being paid in full, but not in fire and brimstone. No, no, no. That's too merciful. This is slow. This is surgical. This is death by regret. A lifetime of, what if I stayed loyal? Why did I hurt the one person who never gave up on me? Why can't I feel peace anymore? And here's the final twist. You don't hate them. You don't wish them harm. You don't want revenge. You don't even look back. And that's what destroys them, because the only thing more painful than being hated is being forgotten by the very one you thought you had power over. Now you glow in silence, and they rot in noise. Their mind is loud now, echoes of your name in empty rooms, hallucinations of what could have been in every quiet moment. They drink, they scroll, they fake smile, they chase thrills. But nothing feels anymore, because they killed the one thing that made them human. You. Let them suffer. Let them stew. Let them wear that betrayal like a second skin. Because no apology can save them now. No prayer can unburn what they torched. No "I miss you" can fix what they shattered with their own hands. And you've become something else entirely. Something untouchable, unfazed, unapologetic. A god in the ruins, a myth in the making, a warning carved into their future. So when they say your name now, it ain't with love, it's with fear. Because deep down, they know. I didn't just lose a real one. I lost the last good thing the universe gave me. Here we are. The part they swore would never come. The part they never imagined they'd be pathetic enough to reach. But they did. On their knees, full of silent shame and unspoken regret, crawling back to the very person they buried alive. Let's talk about it. They thought they were above you. They thought they'd always have access. They thought you'd always be there, arms wide open, loyalty intact, heart unguarded. But now, The gates are closed, and not just locked. Sealed shut. No key, no code. No amount of tears will get them back in. They're knocking with bloody knuckles on a door that leads nowhere. Because the version of you that used to answer died in the fire they started. Now they're typing out messages and deleting them, staring at your name, thumb hovering over the call button, scared to hear your voice again, because it might not sound forgiving anymore. It might sound like power. You've changed, you've evolved, you've risen, and that's what terrifies them the most. You're no longer the one begging to be understood. You're the one being watched. You're the one being feared. They send that, "Hey, stranger." They try that, "I've been thinking about you." They hit you with, "I was going through a lot back then." But you know what that is? That's not an apology. That's a weak attempt to unlock what they thought would always be theirs. But you? You're no longer letting clowns into the palace, no longer handing blessings to beggars who spit in your face when they were eating good. Let's make this crystal clear. You're not angry, you're not vengeful, you're not bitter. You're done. And that's what burns them more than anything. Because hate. They could handle that. But silence? Indifference? That's a death they feel every single day. They left a door open in their heart for you to walk through. But what they don't realize is, they're the ones locked out now, permanently. They want to talk, but there's nothing left to say. They want closure, but you already closed the book and burned the cover. They want another chance. But all chances expired the moment they laughed while you bled. They try to gaslight you now, try to twist the past, try to rewrite the script with themselves as the victim. But you remember every cold look, every ignored message, every fake smile they wore while feeding your name to their little circle of cowards. Let them remember what they did. Let them live in that reality while you breathe the rare air of elevation. You've become a private club now. No entry, no re-entry, no exceptions. They fumbled someone who would have carried their name like it was sacred. They disrespected the one soul who would have gone broke feeding their dreams. And now, they're stuck replaying it, stuck regretting it, stuck watching you win. Without them. And here's the final blow. One day, they'll tell someone new about you. They'll whisper your name like a ghost story. I had someone once. They were different, real, solid. I messed that up. And the person listening won't care. Because no one mourns a traitor. No one honors a snake. No one saves the villain from the grave they dug with a smile. You kept it solid. They kept it sneaky. Now karma's already delivered, and you're the one they pray to when the lights go out. Not because you're God, but because you were the last time they ever touched something holy. And now, you've vanished, like a miracle that never returns. This is the end of the road, not your road. Theirs. The one they paved with betrayal, pride, and snakeskin smiles. The one they thought would take them away from you and toward something better. Turns out, it led straight into the abyss. Let's close this with truth. The kind that's sharp, final, eternal. You didn't just level up. You transcended. You left the game board entirely. While they were still playing checkers with cowards and clowns, you were building an empire in silence. You were rebuilding yourself brick by brick, with nothing but the pain they gave you as mortar. And now, you are no longer a player. You're the storm, the legend, the consequence they never saw coming. See, this isn't about revenge anymore. This is about legacy, because what they lost wasn't just a person. They lost a divine moment in their life. A once-in-a-lifetime alignment. A soul that could have rewritten every broken chapter they came from. You were a healer in disguise, a protector in plain clothes, an angel with scars and loyalty forged in hell. And they spat in your face. For drama, they traded gold for glitter. They gambled with destiny like it was a game of dice on a cracked sidewalk. Now, they have nothing, and you have peace. They have regret, and you have purpose. They have empty arms and haunted nights, and you have a future so bright, it burns the memory of their name. And that name, yeah, let's talk about it. It used to make your stomach drop, used to make your eyes water, used to live in the back of your mind like a ghost, whispering what-ifs. But now, it's dust, not even worth saying, not even worth hating. Just a faint echo in the canyon of your past, a deleted chapter, a cautionary tale. Because when someone fumbles you, they don't just lose your presence, they lose access to the entire future you were going to build together. And no matter who they meet next, no matter how they pretend, they'll never get that kind of love again. Not in this lifetime, maybe not in the next.